with Linda. My name is Linda. So it's no news that entrepreneurs create employment opportunities not only for themselves but also for others, okay? So entrepreneurship is hence important as it has the ability to improve the standard of living and create wealth. So entrepreneurs also have, and they also drive changes, right? With innovations, where new and improved products enable new markets to be developed. And in the long run, entrepreneurs can be said to enable the world economy to strive. However, most people working for someone else eagerly and earnestly want to, establish their own business. How can one transition from being an employee to being self-employed, to being an entrepreneur? That's the topic we'll be discussing today on Christian Talk with Linda. And joining me to tell us how to transition from being an employee to being self-employed is Udo Chiku Onyekwere. She is a co-owner of Chiki Udo Foods and she is the CEO of Jack UD Collections. Welcome to the show, Udo Chiku.
Thank you, Linda.
I also have Ruth Okumu. She's a lead analyst and writer with Naira Trades. Welcome to the show, Ruth.
Thank you very much. Glad to be here.
All right. Okay, so please subscribe to this channel and turn on the bell notification so you don't miss out whenever I upload exciting videos, okay? So follow me on Instagram, on Twitter at Linda Space Media. So, Udo Chiku, I'm going to kick off with you, okay? You left your work, you left your job to start on your own business, okay? Tell us what you were doing before and what led you to, transition to become self-employed. I mean, what was that motivation for you?
Okay. Actually, I was working with a mall and the stress was something else. I wasn't having my time. I was depressed. Working for someone else was something else. As in, waking up so early, leaving my house, not taking care of myself and all that. I needed my space, so I needed to get something more better doing other than working for someone. So as someone that has this good business idea, I was okay with let's say being a wealthy person. As someone that wants to be a wealthy person, I was not okay with earning salaries, so I needed to put a stop to working for someone, and that was actually what motivated me transitioning to be an entrepreneur.
Okay, interesting. Okay, Ruth, right now I'm going to come to you, Ruth. Okay, a lot of people really nest the idea of starting their own business. Okay, we all nest the idea. Okay, we feel it's an exciting journey to start, right? You are a financial analyst. From your experience and everything, what are those steps one should take before transitioning from being an employee to be self-employed?
Okay, thank you for that. I think there are things you really have to put in place first before you decide that you want to leave your job to be self-employed or to become an entrepreneur that's employing others. And the first thing you want to put in place is having a strong network. And when I say network, there are things you want to do that basically goes beyond the know-how. That's what do you know how to do. It now involves the know-who. So now it's not so much about that you know how to design graphics or create videos. Now, do you know people that could pay for your services? If you don't have that network of people that could patronize you, potential clients, and you don't have people who know your work and know the value of your work, and you just suddenly stop work to become self-employed, it could be frustrating. So the first thing you want to have in place is the network, which I would call the know-who, and then we'll talk of the know-how, of course, what you know how to do, your skills. For instance, if you were a lower skilled person, let's say you are just doing some clerical work in the office or an office assistant, you don't have any specific skills that you could market out there, it could be quite risky for you to just decide to opt out of your job and go full time being self employed. So you have to get your skills in place, you have to get your network in place, and then we say capital. Although I really do not like to emphasize capital as much because I think if you have the net, you know people for your skills, and then you have the skills, and you have a very strong chance of succeeding. But I would summarize it into those 3 points: the skills, the people, that's potential clients, and then some sort of capital.
Okay, so it's important you talked about, having the skills and the capital. I am really, really interested in the capital part because when you ask many people who want to start up businesses, some entrepreneurs, they'll tell you capital is so much of a big deal for them. I'll really come back to that capital issue. It's a very big issue in Nigeria, I must say. But first off, I need to go over to Udo right now. Okay, most people really want to start up their business, but here you are, really, I don't know how long you've been transition, but you're managing Udo foods that has to do with selling soya bean, grounded soya bean and plantain, and then you are doing JQD clothing. How do you manage the both, doing food and doing clothing? Like, how much time do you really have?
All right, thank you. Talking about Chiquito Foods and my personal business, which is Jekyll Collections. For the Chiquito Foods, I partner with my sister. I'm a co-owner of the business and the CEO of Jekyll Collections. This is something that um, is actually what the two of us join hands to do. I do my bits, she does hers too. I have my time, I own my time, I manage my time. Since I'm not working for anybody, nobody is questioning me. Each business is stated at its own time. So I manage my time very well. And as someone that likes fashion, I'm a creative kind of person and I'm self-driven. So I decided to venture into the fashion line. As it is, I ventured into the fashion line. I started from small, and I know the two is not easy managing the two businesses, but I must say I'm going on well with the two. I'm doing my bits very well. That's it.
Okay, invariably you are like, you because you have your time now, you can decide which one to do and all of that. Okay, interesting. But Ruth, I want to come to you. Okay, you've written, well, I say gazillion articles on companies and CEOs, and I was reading one of your articles earlier today. I want to mention the name of the entrepreneur who moved from business to business before finally settling down for the one that he's being reckoned with right now. Okay, so a lot of startups, people that want to start up businesses, they have that there is that temptation, if I should use the word temptation, to put in hands in this, hands in this, hands in this. As from your experience right now, from writing about people's experience, okay, what advice you give to startups who want to just start up this, that, like it's interesting what who can actually manage her time very well to put in so much effort. You need to see our clothing line is becoming one of the biggest brands record in Nigeria. I see her like in the next 2 years. I mean, going places, all right. But then most people don't have that very without to manage their time so well. So what word of advice from your experience will you give to people who want to start up businesses and have this temptation of delving into this and that and that?
Well, I believe everybody has multiple interests, multiple passions. But when you're going into business, you first have to realize that you cannot do everything at the same time. Even it's Aliko Dangote, which we all reckon with now. He started with one before diversifying, and now he's going into the oil sector. So you first have to decide on one and decide to settle or to start with that one. Now, when you have decided on the one you want to start with, if you have your client base, you have your skills, and you have your capital, and you have now as part of the skill set you need some business management skills. Why do I say this? Now, there are a lot of businesses that crash within the first year, and they did not crash because the owner was not skilled, but they crashed because the owner lacked basic business management skills. Now, I don't know if you understand what that means. So let's take, for instance, um, somebody is a wood maker, which we could call a carpenter, and because he doesn't have business management skills, somebody gives him 20,000 naira to make a desk. I hope you can still hear me.
Yeah.
Okay, so somebody gives him 20,000 naira to make a desk, and he quickly goes to pay his child's school fees, and he has not made the desk. So eventually, the person comes for the desk 2 weeks later, and he does not have the desk. If he keeps up with that, he's going to be out of business soon. Not because he's not skilled in woodwork, but because he's lacking business management skills. If he had business management skills, the right thing to do would have been, first of all, knowing that out of this 20,000 naira, 10,000 naira goes into the materials. So he would realize then that he's not supposed to tamper with that 10,000 naira. I don't know if you get that point. So he would then know that this 5,000 or this 10,000 naira on top is really what my fee is, and this is what I can spend, not the others. So it's so much more than having the skills, it's so much more than having the client base. It's still about your basic business management skill. I'm sure um Udochukwu here will be able to relate more with that. You must be able to separate your personal finances from your business finances. And a lot of things we see is that people's businesses crash because they cannot separate personal business finance from their business finances. So somebody is running a shop, and every day he buys his food from his sales. He has not calculated profit, he has not calculated his capital, and he continues to do that. Before you know, the business runs down.
Okay, so let's go on a short break. We'll be going on the short break. When we come back, the show continues. Do not forget, I have Udochukwu and Ruth here with me, and we're discussing on how you can transition from being an employee to being self-employed, to actually becoming that entrepreneur you've been meaning to be. So welcome back to Kosher Talk with Linda, and my guest and I are discussing how you can actually transition from being an employee to being self-employed, to being that entrepreneur you've been meaning to become. So right now, like I always do, whenever we go on a break and come back, we have to play some little game to win, right? You say all play, all work, and no play, all work and no play, right? Whatever. So right now we're gonna take some game, and the nature of my game today is that I'll be asking them questions. So I have 4 questions already, and it has to do with entrepreneurship. Okay, so who will be going first, please? They say ladies first, and right now we have all ladies. So who'll be going first? So the first person picks a number from 1 to 4, and if you answer it correctly, you go. But if you get it wrong, you have to drink a cup of whatever you have beside you. Okay, I'll give you a leeway to drink water or drink whatever you have beside you. Some people should not really drink water. Okay. So who's going first, please? Ladies, who is going first? Where's the
Okay,
lady?
let me go.
Yeah, ladies.
Let me go.
Okay, so choose the number 1 to 4.
Number 3.
Okay, number 3 is, which body in Nigeria is responsible for registration of business and organizations in Nigeria?
That's CAC, Corporate Affairs Commission.
Woo! She got it. You see, Ruth, see why I should have gone first and picked number 3? Okay, so you go now. What number are you choosing? Please unmute yourself.
Okay, I'll go with number 4.
You go with number
4.
Okay. Number 4 is, what's the biggest entrepreneur idea you can suggest amid coronavirus pandemic?
The biggest entrepreneur idea amidst coronavirus pandemic. Okay. In the midst of this pandemic, any business that is going to thrive will have to be tech driven. So in as much as it's tech oriented, it will thrive. Another idea could be something along food and consumables. So statistics show that in the last few months, the second quarter of the year, that's from April, May, June, despite other businesses having challenges, the food and consumables sector, they've thrived. Not thrived in the maximum sense of that word, but compared to others, they are still, they're still very much around. They're still very much profitable. So it has to be one of the two, tech or food.
Okay, tech or food. Okay. Well, I think I have to go with you because when federal government of Nigeria had this ban, they actually didn't, let the ban affect, consumables and food. But I also was expecting you to chip in any work that will allow you work freelance, any work that will allow you work remotely can actually strive, any business. Don't you think so?
I do not entirely agree with that. A lot of businesses that work from home have still been affected by this lockdown. A lot of them actually. But we want to look at those that have still stayed profitable despite the lockdown. And it has to be tech or food. Now, if your work is, let's say you're a writer and you write books, people are not coming out. So the publishers that will publish it are not even out there to publish. So you find that whatsoever it is, there are other hitches in the chain. But it's food. The most you need are logistics people to deliver it, and those ones are still working. And if it's tech, all you need is your data and your smart device, and you're on.
Okay, I'm still wondering why you're freezing. Okay, so let's just continue go over to the next question. While you have your valid points why you think that that businesses should strive. Okay, so I have my next question. Please choose a question, Udochukwu.
Number 1.
Okay. So number 1 goes like this. Who is the richest entrepreneur in the world as at today?
Oh.
In the world, in the world, in the world, in the world. Should we start counting down?
Would that
Someone's
be
gonna
Bill
drink
Gates?
water. Pardon?
Would that be Bill Gates?
Oh, Bill Gates is there, but I think someone else's net worth is bigger than Bill Gates.
Oh,
Should we
no
count down for
idea.
you? No idea. Okay, so please drink your water first before I tell you who I think it is. So, and I'll have Ruth alter me because I know she's waiting for me. Yeah. Please where's your water? We can see you. Do you have a glass?
Yeah.
Oh, wonderful. I like your glasses. Please start golfing. Go, Udo. Go, Udo. Go, Udo. Please drink water. Let us move on.
Grab the water.
Oh yeah. You finished the water or you finished the cup? You're going to wee wee today. Why are you laughing? So I feel what's his name? I hope I don't miss out him. Jeff Bezos is the richest entrepreneur right now. He is the founder and CEO of Amazon. Yes, he is the CEO of the giant e-commerce Amazon.
Okay.
Okay, Jeff Bezos. All right, Jeff Bezos. I don't know. So with a net worth of $131 billion, he tops the list of richest entrepreneurs. He founded Amazon as the online bookstore in the year 1994. After that, there was no looking back for Bezos as he kept on adding new categories of products. So today, Amazon is one of the world's online richest oil shopping platform. So, and that also buttresses the fact to what Ruth say, anything tech is actually going to work. So he is basically like our Jumia of Nigeria, our Konga of Nigeria, and other online platforms. So Amazon is one of the world's richest e-commerce. So with that, having said that, I'm going to ask you the last question, Ruth, so we can just move on. So which country are you from? Which country are you from?
I'm Nigerian.
Okay, so which city in Nigeria is referred to as the center of commerce in Nigeria?
Okay. That will be. That's Kaduna.
Are you asking or are you answering?
Yeah. Lagos is center of excellence. I think somewhere Kaduna or.
Are you sure it's not Abba? Have you not heard of Abba clothes before?
I'm drinking my water already.
Please drink. Okay, so while you're going down your water, okay, Kano State, created in 1967. Kano State created.
I was quite close.
So Kano State, created on 27 May 1967, is historically known as the center of commerce in Nigeria. Kano State is strategically located at the center of northern Nigeria, and Kano has served as a major entry port to the nation and as a southern hub of the trans-Saharan trade route for centuries. So Kano State is the center of commerce in Nigeria. Thank you very much for filling my question. So let's continue with the show. I'm going to continue with you, Udochi, okay? So you started up your business. I would like to know, and every other person, because you people talked about capital initially, and capital is very, very important. I do not want to care what people think, but I feel capital is very strategic when you want to start up a business. And that is why we have some startup, some foundations. I don't want to mention names that basically fund startups in Nigeria and the world. So that brings me to the question I want to ask you, Doju. How did you save up to start up your business? Did you actually save your salary? And if you did, for how long? And if not, how did you just get this capital to start up your business? Or was it just capital free,
Okay. Actually, talking about capital, that's just not the number one thing in a business when you want to start up a business. Because as for me, I ventured into this business not just to get capital only, but to build an empire, to create a legacy. But talking about how I saved up my capital, what I actually saved up before I ventured into this business. To be frank with you, I didn't really save anything. I didn't save a dime because the last work I did, it was more like a stipend that was being paid. It wasn't anything. So when I got fed up with the whole thing, uh, as someone that has this passion for fashion, I had to I had to start up with sewing for myself. I started from small, sewing for myself, taking it to social media, people seeing it, liking it, commenting, and demanding for theirs, for me to make for them. So I had to put more effort, learn further, and that is how I scaled up. I didn't really save much. But talking about how I got my machine, I was being supported with the little money I made from the little sewings I did as a big bespoke fashion designer. I scaled up. That's how I started. So capital is not all about having big money. Business is not all about having big money. Doing the business in a way that you may not really understand. Capital is of different types, if I may say. We have this spiritual capital, we have intellectual
Your
capital,
capital.
we have the food capital. Yeah, and so many of them, not just financial aspect of it. So when you have this spiritual capital, what do I mean? If you are the kind of person you can pray yourself out, maybe you have first class in your school, you have this, you have that, but in your working place, in your business, nothing is moving, you can't skyrocket, you are not being promoted. Ah, if you can't pray yourself out, my dear, you're going nowhere. That's number one capital. So talking about intellectual capital, what you can offer, how you deal with people, your relationship management with people, how you deal with people, your interpersonal skills and all that. I think that's is something that carried me on too, and having good communication skills too. So not just having savings and all that, because the last place I worked, it was just nothing but a stipend that was receiving it monthly. So I wasn't okay with it. It didn't go well for me, so I had to pull out and started up with this. So when you
Okay.
start small, you think big and you scale up.
Okay, so it's interesting. I mean that Udochki said that you don't really need capital. Capital is the least of the problems, but you are doing you have this clothing collection, you have this collection, okay, and I'm sure where you land, if you tell someone that wants to start a business like in a clothing line, first off, the person needs to learn the skills, which is very important. The person needs to get some equipment, which is also very important. The person needs to get material, like you need to even at least get your thread and needle and all whatnot. So all that has to do with money. Okay, it's interesting you say you did money capital is not a problem, but I've spoken to people, like before I come on the show, I speak to people to actually know what they would want to 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 get their problems, and that helps me in carving out my question. And this question, believe me, is very important. So I'm going to ask you, Ruth, right now. You are a business analyst, you're a lead analyst, and you've actually had experience writing about other businesses. So I want to ask you this question right now. How can intending entrepreneurs, and right now I don't want to ask you if capital is important. I just want to ask you how they can raise this capital. Okay, so how can they raise this capital, especially when you're transitioning from being an employee to being self-employed, how can they raise this capital? How effectively can they raise capital?
Okay. One thing I always tell people is capital abounds once you have a sound idea. Now we have venture capitalists, people who are just there to help you raise capital for your business. But if you don't have a sound business idea, no venture capitalist is going to attend to you. Now that is even talking about the corporate world. But let's come down to small businesses people start on the side, right? Let's talk of you want to start a small business here. So maybe you're not going as far as MTN or something, so you're not going to need such large capital. Let's say capital of a 1 million naira and below. Of course, we have banks, we have financial institutions that give loans out. But one thing they always want to know first is how sound is your business idea. Now, the banks, the financial institutions, they have nothing to gain if they give you loan to start a business and it fails. So before they take the money, remember they are not taking their money, they are taking other customers' money. Before they take the money, they want to be sure that your idea is sound. They want to be sure that your idea can stand. So that's the first thing we have to put in place. Yeah. Then having a sound idea. And another thing financial institutions look out for is how much of your money have you put into it? So I have a business idea that is going to cost me about say 300,000 naira to set up. Do I have 100,000 naira that I've put in and now I'm asking for 200,000? Or am I just coming to the bank to give me 300,000? Now, if you have not staked your money, they are more reluctant to stake their money. And I'm sure you understand why. If your idea is not sound enough for you to invest your own money, why should I invest other customers' money? Do you get? So, securing capital, there are different ways. You could get investors, you could get partners. Um, if you have a sound idea, you could meet people with the wherewithal, you sign an agreement, they become like your sleeping partners. But everybody wants to know that their money is not going down the drain. Money is hard to come by. So I'm not going to invest my money in a business if I'm not certain that you are going to make sure the business succeeds, one, and you are have already put in some of your own money. So that means you have something to lose as well, just like I have something to lose. I don't know if you get that point. So there's actually capital. There's capital everywhere. It just depends on your idea, what you have already put in, and what you are asking for. You could get people who come in as a technical team. So that's another kind of partnership. So they are bringing in um, their expertise. So, for instance, Udochukwu is a designer. So, if she partners with someone who is not a designer but is very good in marketing, that's a partnership. That person is bringing in capital in the sense that the money she would have paid to a marketer is being saved. So, that person is bringing in capital in the form of technical expertise. So that's why I say there's capital. If you are not getting capital in terms of cash, you could get the capital in terms of expertise. So that way you don't have to go pay somebody to do the same thing because you now have someone cutting off that cost through your partnership. To answer your question directly, there are financial institutions, Bank of Industry, Bank of Agriculture, even these fintechs now, Paga, OPay, and the rest of them, they give out loans. They give out loans, they give out credit facilities, but they will not put the money where they are not sure it will succeed.
Interesting. It's interesting you said that you need to put in your money before you can encourage someone to put in his or her own money. I mean, I like that part, and that's the part most people do not know. But I was talking to someone some time ago, and the person said that one of the ways you can raise capital is for you to get a side job. Like even if you want to resign from your present job, because we are talking about transitioning from employee to becoming a self-employed or on an entrepreneur, right? So the person was saying that for you to transition, you need to, get a side job. Like if you have 9 to 5 job or 8 to 5 job, you need to like get something that will make you be like, maybe 2 hours or take 2 or 3 hours of your time a day instead of taking your full time. That way you can able to find something you fall back on, instead of just having zero. Because I was also reading somewhere and the person said that you don't have to touch your capital for at least 2 or 3 profits. Sorry, you don't have to touch your profit for like 2 or 3 times it comes, okay? So that's why it's very important because they are transitioning. They are used to getting monthly salary. It's not. It's unfortunate that Udochukwu situation was a pathetic one. She was getting more like a stipend instead of salary. But some people are earning so much money. So leaving that money to become an employee and going to Bank of Africa, sometimes you have to pitch ideas and upon ideas and upon ideas. Most times, I've not really tried this. I wouldn't even want to discourage anybody, but let me just say everything is 100% from your ideas. It's interesting you said that you need to put in your money, but do you think the part of having a side job to cushion the effect of starting up a business is something that we should go by? Roots.
Um, to put that differently, I would say you need to have another income source before you fully venture into a business. It might not be a side job, it could be an investment. Say now we have so many financial institutions giving you little investments here and there. Some of these agri-tech firms, you can invest as little as 20,000 and it gives you a certain percentage interest, maybe at some intervals. Now, if you have something like that that gives you, even if that's little, I don't know what amount to use now, but something that gives you a little sum, but you're getting something from somewhere other than your salary. Once you have that, you could take the risk and venture into business. And this is why you really find that people who are from more financial well-to-do backgrounds appear to succeed more in business because they have some other financial sources. It's not so much because they always put in more than others. So when they have other financial sources, they can actually allow the business cycle run completely. So even if it was farming, you farm, you take at least 3 months or 4 months to harvest, depending on what you're farming, or even longer. So what are you going to be feeding on for that period? That's what we are referring to. So if you're a designer, there's still a business cycle. So from the point you buy the raw materials to the point you sew it, till the point it is sold off, that is when that cycle is completed. If you do not have something else supporting you or something somewhere else you're expecting a little stipend or something, what do you hope to survive on before the cycle completes? Now, depending on the business you choose, some business cycles run faster than others. Some run longer, some very short terms. So if I'm a graphics designer, for instance, and if it takes me 2 hours to design graphics, then that means my business cycle can be completed in 2 hours. If I'm a video producer and it takes me one day to produce a video, that means my business cycle is completed in one day. But if I'm I don't know which business, like if I'm a farmer or I decide to go into farming, poultry, yeah, at least it will take 3 months. Although these days poultry farmers do it much shorter. So there's a cycle it has to follow. What will you survive on? before that cycle completes. So that is really what you want to put in place. It's not so much about, it mustn't be a side job. It could be, but it could take other forms. What you just really need to have in place is another source of income, however little.
Okay, so it's interesting you pointed that out because people need to know that because you can't just, leave off your job completely to become self-employed. It's not really, although is it easy?
It's not easy. You can't just leave your job totally and when you don't have something to fall back on. I agree with her. But the truth is this, if you want to like maybe you want to diversify or if you want to transition from being an employee to an entrepreneur, um I think you need to have some prerequisites for it, which will include this. The first one, you have to evaluate yourself. You have to evaluate yourself. Um, your vision is another thing. Check if you're a self-driven person and so many other things to look at. So if you don't really have these qualities of being an entrepreneur, I don't think you can make it. But if you have what it takes to be an entrepreneur, fine and good. Why don't you go ahead and carry on? Is a way forward. Yes, taking the bull by the horn is actually okay. It's okay by me because personally, uh, it wasn't easy. But like I said initially, living on working for someone, using my whole strengths, my energy, and taking more of my time and every other thing, working for someone else and having nothing but stipend monthly, man, it was nothing to write home about. So
Okay.
I needed to yeah, I needed to transition to being an entrepreneur. So which is something that I'm enjoying as it is now. Presently, I'm enjoying it. Though I've not gotten there, but I will get there someday. Yeah.
Yeah, I can imagine because it's better you use that strength and put it into your business and get, even if you're not getting so much, you have a vision that you're going somewhere. Okay, that brings me to my next question. Okay, you have something to say, Ruth?
Okay, yes. I just really wanted to add to what she said, but to make it clear, you don't go straight from being an employee to being an entrepreneur. You really have to go through the self-employed stage. What that means is you go from the point, self-employed means you are generating enough to pay yourself. So if the business has not generated enough to pay you, you can't employ somebody. And it is the point where you have somebody working for you, you become an entrepreneur. So you first go from being an employee to being self-employed. So you move from working to from under somebody to working for yourself before you now start getting other people. Meaning you are the first laborer for your business. Provided you are not an investor, you are the first employee, and you first have to be able to pay yourself before you now start bringing other people in.
Okay, that's
Okay.
that's quite interesting. Yeah.
I want Yeah, I want to add up something too.
Yes, go ahead.
Okay. Like you said, yes, you can't just leave your work or being an employee just like that without having anything. I concur. But the thing there is that I think there is something that I'm doing personally too that is giving me small money apart from this my business, which is tutoring. I've tutored for some years now and think I'm still in it, but that is a private one. That is a private one that I'm doing. So I'm not fully in in a classroom, like a classroom teacher and all that. So as the private something that I'm doing, tutoring privately and all that, I think is something that is a bonus to me. I think it's a bonus to me. But as for working for someone every time, waking up so early, being so stressed, and every other thing, man, I don't think I can continue with that. But with this, even the private lesson I'm doing and every other thing that I'm doing, I have my time. I'm managing the time very well. That's it.
Okay, thank you very much. That explains why we're having this meeting at this time. Okay, so I'd like to know these struggles, because when people talk about on having your own business, they think it's a cup of tea. In as much as a cup of tea can hot, because hot tea can actually hot tea, But I would like to know your struggles. How you talked about good communication before. Said you need to have that good communication for you to strive. And so what can say or outline the struggles you face? So when someone wants to transition tomorrow, the person will actually know, okay, this thing I'm about to do, someone somewhere like this did it and she faced this kind of struggle. So if I see this kind of struggle, I mean, my village people are not following me. It's just normal. So what are those struggles that, you face? Just briefly.
Okay. The challenges I face in this journey of business, I'll only mention but a few, which is mass production in my business. As someone that is doing it single-handedly for now,
Mm-hmm.
if I have plenty equipment and the logistics and every other thing, I think having people working for me and having a big space, like not just working from home, having a big space, like having my own fashion house, I think it will be much more better for me, because that's my challenge now. That's my biggest challenge now.
Okay. So your biggest challenge as it is at the moment is just to get a big space. I know some people have different challenges, all right? So it's important you've known your challenge. At least that will enable you know the next step to take. So right now I'm gonna go over to you, Ruth, and I think this is gonna be my last question for this episode. So how can you utilize contacts? Being an employee, you have established contacts. I don't even know if people still establish contacts, because it's high time people get to know that you need to establish contacts being an employee, because once you become self-employed, it's more like you're in your own enclosure. Okay, so how can someone utilize the contact? Let me say someone has already established some contacts being an employee. How can you utilize those contacts for yourself as an entrepreneur? Yeah, how can you do that? Because I get some time when, okay, let me give you a life experience. Okay, I was working as a reporter for someone, for a private company. Okay, I established some contacts. Okay, and it happened to be that I wanted to buy a computer, okay, from this contact. I called, I don't know, I didn't, I felt free, and I called my supervisor. I'm like, okay, what's the, I don't know, I can't remember the question I asked him. But the next day when I came back to work, because I was still working for the press, it's not like I've left the job. Okay, he told me that I shouldn't have gone to buy my computer from that person, okay, because we still have unfinished, thing, reporting, a documentary we are doing with the person. So what if I go to price and I didn't end up buying from this person? So I'm like, this is even me trying to, give my money to the person. So, but what if I pull out and I want to utilize this contact? Is there any time I'm breaching against company contract, or how can I utilize my contacts, the contacts I established whilst being an employee for myself in my business?
Okay. Depending on the sector you find yourself, there are rules. There are general industry rules, but there are also rules peculiar to the companies. Now, one thing is in the contract letter you sign when you take up an appointment with a company, either contract or appointment letter, it is stated there, depending on the company's rules. Some states that you cannot have a similar dealing with any of the company's clients or customers within a year. Some say 2 years, some say 3, some say 4 years, some say 6 months. So what that means is, if you are a lawyer, for instance, and you're working in my chambers, and there are clients in my chambers that like your work, even if you leave, you cannot take them on as clients. They are my client. You cannot take them on as clients maybe for a year, for 2, for 3, depending on what you sign. So there are rules on that. It's peculiar to you. You just have to check your appointment letter. So that's on that. But on the other hand, when I talk about establishing a good network, it doesn't have to be your company client. Now, let's take, for instance, when I left my former employer, even after I left, my boss called me to contract a job for me to do. So now that's me and the company's clients. They called me and we negotiated based on the freelance basis. So you also want to leave your employer with bad blood. Yeah, I don't know how to explain that, but you don't want to leave bad blood behind. You don't want to live on bitter terms. As much as possible, it might be unavoidable, but if it is, try to live with good connections with your colleagues, with your boss, with all of them. They could refer you business. I've had my former employer, because he was choked with a lot of business, refer with a lot of bad blood, bitter feelings, or whatever. They wouldn't even refer them to me. I don't know if you get my point. So when I talk of network, it means including between you and colleagues. It means you and your superiors, you and the company's clients, and even if you don't do business with the clients directly, they could refer you to others. So having a good network is not, it doesn't mean you're leaving the company and stealing the company's clients. No. It means you're establishing a good relationship so that even when the company is in a situation to recommend you tomorrow, they would recommend you without fear that you're going to steal their clients. So that's really what it's about. Stealing the clients is not ethical, it's not right, it doesn't help the future of your career, if I put it that way.
So it's very, very important we talked about this, because sometimes when people leave companies, I mean, it seems like I really don't want to say without having done my investigations, but it seems like, yeah, to get your fan base, to get your fan base is really, really difficult. And I think that's why most people start to work with people so they can travel and meet people, right? That's why most people start with being an employee so they can establish their stronghold first before they can now start up their own thing. Because if you just go ahead and start up, I mean, you can succeed, right? But then you need, thank God we have Instagram, so you can just do Instagram or social media. Let me just call it social media, promotions, and you get yourself some fan or customers or clientele. But then, you know, there is this thing word of mouth does. There's this promotion that comes with word of mouth, people that know you and all of that. It's interesting you talked about that. So it's very important as you are living and transitioning from being an employee to becoming self-employed. You look at the terms and contracts of the contract you signed before you started the job, so you wouldn't breach, you wouldn't have bad blood, just as we put it. Okay, so with that, we'll be coming to the end of today's episode. Do not forget to subscribe, like, and share this video, and put your comments in the comment section below. How do you think employees can transition, or what are those things they need to put into cognizance to make sure that they transition successfully? And I've been talking with Ruth Okumbo Ogugwa. Yeah, she is a business lead analyst with Nairametrics, and I've also been speaking with Udochukwu Onyekwe. Udochukwu is the CEO of Jack UD Collections, and she's also the co-owner of Chiki Udo Foods. Thank you all for spending your time and talking with me on this show today.
Okay, thanks. It was nice being here.
Thank you, Linda. It was nice having you here.
Thank you. I mean, I thank you. You guys. Anyway, so thank you so much, and I come your way next time. Keep watching Kusha Talk on Linda Space Media. Thanks. Bye.